After the last strong bullish impulse, Bitcoin has managed to break a very key macro structure. The same has happened with BNB, breaking this creek. Meanwhile, Ethereum, after breaking the creek with its strong impulse, has also given us a key point. Does this suggest a continuation of the bullish trend, or has the market reached its peak, signaling corrections ahead? Let's start with a very brief overview of Bitcoin on a macro level. For this, we have the Bitcoin chart on the daily time frame. We can observe how, after the strong bearish impulse we experienced several months ago, the price has entered a complex corrective pattern where we've seen the W, Y, and now we are experiencing a Z. This Z has been explosive and has respected its trend line, which, in this case, acts as a defense zone. What does this mean? It means the Z is still active. In summary, we remain optimistic about Bitcoin and the entire crypto ecosystem. However, this does not mean we won't see some kind of pause or correction in the short term. If we zoom in a bit, we notice several structures here that help us understand what I'm explaining. But before diving into that, let's take a look at the BNB chart, as it provides key information to understand how the market might develop. Let's also briefly review the macro information to stay aligned and refresh our memory. We're coming from a bearish impulse that also led to a complex corrective pattern where we are currently experiencing a Z. Just like with Bitcoin, this Z remains valid as its trend line has not been broken. Therefore, we remain positive on BNB as well. Keep in mind, this is on a long-term perspective as we are analyzing the daily time frame. Now, let's zoom in further, shifting to the 4-hour time frame where we have much more information. The first thing we can observe is a continued impulse accompanied by another corrective pattern. This pattern also reveals an ascending Z. This ascending Z, however, belongs to a smaller time frame and is the one breaking to the upside from this accumulation process we had been evaluating. Here we can see its supply line and are now analyzing this flat pattern. Flat patterns, as many know, often create uncertainty and confusion. Let's zoom in even more because this flat pattern reveals some very interesting details. By closely analyzing this structure, we can observe several things. First is the strong breakout that occurs at the creek, and something that should catch our attention here is the volume. Notice how this volume spike, which occurs precisely when the creek is broken, marks a stop. Then there is this second noticeable volume where the price rises strongly but does not continue. This indicates absorption, meaning someone is stopping the price. We observe the same in this area with disproportionate volume in a price that climbs sharply but suddenly halts. On the other hand, notice how here we also have very high volume compared to the preceding days or candles. In this case, the price does rise. What is the takeaway from all this? We are seeing significant long exposure. Many positions have been opened in long trades. Therefore, after this prolonged period of uncertainty we've been discussing, a price drop could cause substantial damage. On the screen, we are looking at a chart that shows open interest. This represents all the open positions at any given moment in the market. Notice how, with the latest price increase, open positions have also risen significantly. This reinforces the idea of high long exposure and the potential harm this could cause. Why are we pointing this out? Let's return to the price chart and zoom in on the delta. Notice how the delta ask predominates throughout this chart. If we combine the high exposure of open positions with the predominance of delta ask, a price drop could severely impact these positions, triggering a wave of stop losses. This could set off the pause or correction we have been discussing, initiated by even a small downward price movement. If we zoom out and return to the 4-hour chart, this would mean nothing more than the price re-entering this structure, this accumulation, before resuming its upward path. Let's remember, as I mentioned earlier, we remain positive on the entire crypto ecosystem. Now, let's move on to analyzing Ethereum. But before that,
welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity.
As we showed you in the introduction to this video, Ethereum has reached a level we consider key. This is none other than target number 1 of the entire bullish accumulation process that has already broken to the upside. At the same time, following this impulse, Ethereum has become the leading market in the ecosystem. After the previous bearish impulse, we went through a complex corrective pattern where we are now in the Z phase. This phase first consumed time and created confusion, but then gave us explosive movement. At the same time, this Z phase remains active as it continues to respect its trend line. But if you ask me whether there is room for price drops, my answer is yes. This is supported by the cross-analysis provided by other assets, as we just saw with BNB. Let's zoom in further and switch to the 1-hour time frame. Here we can see an impulse followed by a bearish channel and a range. Therefore, it would not surprise us if this is followed by climactic action. As you can see, we have drawn this target here, which serves as a map that helps us anticipate potential climactic actions. If this action continues and zooming out again, it could test the origin of the breakout. So if we see this climactic action persist, we should not be alarmed, as there is still room for continuation. That said, what we are evaluating here is whether this redistribution process reaches its first or second target before offering further upside movement. Solana, on the other hand, is also giving us strong signals that the upward trend continues. In the long term, we have a very macro Z. Even though this labeling may sound unusual, we know cross-analysis allows us to identify it. Here, we can see that the trend line of this Z has been respected, which confirms that the Z remains valid. If we zoom in a little and move to a 4-hour time frame, we can also see another Z. But notice how, in this case, the Z is inverted because it corresponds to a reverse movement. This cell allows us to draw a wedge, which helps us observe the price behavior more closely. Zooming in further on the last part of the wedge, we can identify two distinct things. First, there is this accumulation process, which has reached target number 1 and reacted at this point. Second, we see this volume, which undeniably grabs our attention. It is a volume spike accompanied by an impulse. At the same time, notice the delta. It is significantly disproportionate compared to all previous deltas. This indicates that participants are actively engaging, yet this impulse is coming to a halt. One particularly interesting element here is the potential trap within a trap. This scenario could pave the way for the potential drops we are also observing across the rest of the ecosystem. Let's now move on to analyzing Cardano. This time, we'll go directly to the 1-hour chart. Here we can see that this reaccumulation process has broken to the upside and is now forming a process we are evaluating as distribution. Therefore, we will be watching for a breakdown. Here, the map we are outlining has two components. The first is this point of control from the reaccumulation process we just discussed. The second is the first target of this micro-distribution process we are analyzing. By connecting these two structures, the concept gains a bit more strength. One thing that caught our attention while analyzing Cardano was this volume, which is significantly higher compared to the previous ones, and also this delta. I zoomed in a bit here to make it clearer. What stands out about this delta is the wick. This indicates that we initially had a buying delta, but by the time the candle closed, all these buys had been absorbed. In other words, the delta shifted from a delta ask to a delta bid. While I have highlighted all the levels provided by this map, we will continue monitoring it with this defense zone. This defense zone has been marked and respected on several occasions and has already created a trap. Therefore, we will be waiting for this defense zone to be clearly broken in order to confirm the price drops we have been discussing. Let's return to Bitcoin. As we saw earlier, we remain optimistic in the medium and long term. Zooming in a bit and looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can see some interesting data in this reaccumulation process. We know that after these processes, when the creek is broken, we like to see how the price comes back for a test. But if we zoom in even further, we can observe a failure in the test. In other words, a gap has been left behind. This gap is what provides significant upward momentum, leading to the last impulse we experienced. After this impulse, we are marking the channel here. However, for those who have been following us for a while, you already know that this channel has a steep slope and does not align with the types of channels we prefer to work with at Crypto Insight. That said, it is a channel with many points of contact and one that everyone is already paying attention to. At the same time, the entire channel represents an excess above the macro channel. Let's zoom out slightly to make that clearer. Additionally, this move has reached the first target of the reaccumulation process that preceded it. So what does all this information mean? It means we will be waiting for the price of Bitcoin to break this channel to the downside, as we do not trust the slope of this channel. The map we have here is this defense zone where we expect the price to react, as we will then be anticipating its continuation to the upside. So, to summarize, we know we remain optimistic about the entire crypto ecosystem. However, after the strong upward movements we've recently experienced, we could expect pauses or corrections before resuming the upward trend. If you enjoyed this advanced technical analysis, let me know in the comments. Also, give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss future analyses. Share this video with your friends and with other trading and cryptocurrency communities so more people can improve their trading strategies. Best of luck with your positions, and see you next time.